Okay. Welcome and good afternoon, everyone. We are continuing with our slow flow weeks here. So today for class, we're going to begin in a comfortable seat. And so like always, I offer you a couple of different modifications depending on what's most comfortable for your body. So everyone, I would suggest to get some sort of prop, pillow, bolster, blanket, something to allow your hips to come up a little bit higher than your knees. And so I'm going to be sitting in Virasana. So that means that this block is between my ankles. Or if you prefer to be in an easy cross-legged seat in Sukhasana, you can do that as well. And then at that point, you'll just sit at the very edge of that little prop so that your legs are kind of jutting downwards as if they were like a water slide coming off of your knee. And so we're just going to start here today, being mindful of our presence on the mat and just allowing the breath to enter in through the nose and exhale out through the nose. No need to adjust any breath pattern that comes naturally for you today, not at this point at least. And if it feels comfortable, maybe you have a soft gaze, a couple feet out in front of your practice space, or maybe you even close your eyes. Just allowing that breath to fill up, expanding the belly, expanding the side body, and then exhaling it out once again. If it's helpful for you, feel free to place a hand on the belly, maybe a hand on the chest, so that you can just allow yourself to get that feedback, that breath filling up the body, and then exhaling as it flows out. Starting to take notice beyond the breath. How does your spine feel? Are you leaning forward, compressing into your hips? Are you leaning back, straining the abs, the lower back? Maybe off to one side. Just take a quick scan of the body, working to stack your spine, vertebrae on top of vertebrae. And then take an inhale and an exhale once you've found that point of balance. Now that we've settled into that nice long spine, take a notice of your shoulders. Are they creeping up with every inhale? Encourage them to stay down, grounded, and maybe even a little bit back so that your chest can lift, expanding upwards with every inhale. Not to the point that you're jutting out forward, maintaining that neutral spine. It's a fine balance. One thing shifts, and then because we're so connected, another thing shifts. It's a constant play back and forth. Imagine with your next inhale that you're lengthening through your spine. And then with your next exhale, someone is gently guiding your shoulders down and back. Imagine those invisible fingertips. Inhale, filling up the belly and chest. Exhale, allowing yourself to Keep the length, but grounding down. And take a couple breaths like that. You can see that I've moved my hands from my belly and from my chest, just so that my fingertips are resting on my shoulders. If that's available for you, go ahead and give that a try. Those invisible fingertips can become real. Nice adjustments. Inhaling and then exhaling. On the next inhale, just take notice of your jaw and the position of your chin. Is your chin parallel to the earth? Is it looking down? Does it naturally gaze up a bit? Focusing on how the jaw centers parallel like a diving board to the earth. And thinking about how that relates to the back of your neck. Back of your neck has a nice little curve in it. That curve allows it to do all those movements. But how can you maintain that neutralness of your jaw? And if your tongue is resting on the roof of your mouth, go ahead and release that. Maybe you open your mouth. Maybe you roll your jaw around a couple times in one direction. Maybe take it in the other direction. Inhaling and exhaling. And then if you have your fingertips on your shoulders, go ahead and release them down onto your lap. Coming back into that neutral spine. Feeling the adjustments and the awareness that we have just brought to the body and breath. And if you have your eyes closed or they're out at a soft gaze, go ahead and start to flicker them open. And on our next inhale, let's allow our arms to come up overhead, interlacing our fingers together and unleashing the pointers. Inhale as you take a slight rock back and forth. And then exhale as you drop your right hand down onto the mat. Lifting that left hand up and over, keeping that micro bend in your right elbow. Sending breath into the side left body. Extending up and over. And like we've been working on for the past couple sessions, if you remember, that straight line, if you make that nice straight line with your arm extending from the hip point up, a straight line, back to trigonometry class, is the shortest distance between 2 points. And so if yoga is about increasing that space, let's make a little rainbow and curve that line. Nice adjustments. Feeling that effect, that rainbow. It could be micro, but you can feel a little bit more of that distance, space that's created. Inhaling and exhaling. And on the next inhale, go ahead and bring both hands back up overhead. And then exhale, lowering them down. If you're sitting in a cross-legged position, go ahead and switch the crossing of your legs so you can feel that stretch equally across both sides. And then on your next inhale, once you've repositioned, go ahead and inhale your arms up overhead, pointer fingers released once again, and then take those little bits of movement to both sides. Maybe you're able to Inhale, bringing the elbows behind your ears. And then exhale, dropping that left hand down to the earth. And starting out with that straight arm here, like before. Making sure that you're continuing to move the breath through the body. Keeping that micro bend in the left arm. And then maybe you investigate how it feels in your neck, looking up and looking down at the earth. And then by keeping that grounding down in your right hip, work to create that rainbow with your arm here, increasing that space on your right side. Nice job. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and bring your hands back up overhead once again. And then tuck your chin and start to roll forward. Eventually, your pointer fingers will reach the earth, and then release your hands from their grip, coming into a little bit of an elevated child's pose here. It's likely, since you're up on the prop, that your forehead won't drop down to the earth, and that's okay. Inhaling here and exhaling, imagining those invisible fingers just resting on your lower back, encouraging grounding down into your piece of equipment. And then on your next inhale, slowly walk your hands back to your knees, tucking your chin as you slowly roll up, bringing the shoulders up to your ears as you lift, and then exhale, dropping them back. Let's do that once again. Inhale, bringing our shoulders up to our ears, and then exhale, bringing them back and down. Once more like that. Inhale, exhale, taking them back and down. And we're gonna go into a seated cat-cow this time around. So keep that same motion, tucking your chin, your hands are down along your knees. You're making a nice rounded C with your spine. Inhaling here as you feel the space being created throughout the top back body, maybe down in through your ribs. And then exhale as you roll your shoulders up and back, allowing the chest to open. Maybe you take your hands behind you, looking up, creating that reverse space in your back here. And then inhale as you bring your shoulders reversing from the back, coming forward, tucking your chin, and then expanding through that back body once again. On your next inhale, bring the shoulders up to the ears, rolling them back and opening through the chest. And at this point, go ahead and explore whatever your cat-cow feels like for you today. So maybe as you're coming forward, you kind of allow one side to get a stretch, imagining that you're walking out on your hands and knees. Maybe you roll your neck a couple times on the way back. Just being mindful of the movement today. And then let's settle into a spot on our cat pose. So this is where you're leaning forward, your chin is tucked, and your back is being poofed up. And then just find a spot where it would feel good to send a little bit more breath, a little bit more love. And then on the next exhale, allow yourself to open, expanding through the chest and finding a spot here. Nice job. And then come back up into our neutral spine. We're gonna lift up, coming into a tabletop. So go ahead and take your prop out from underneath. As always, if you have the sensitive knees, go ahead and roll up a blanket or have a pillow and place it down in front of your knees. So tabletop, you're gonna come onto all fours here. And on the next inhale, we're gonna bring our right hand up to the sky. And exhale as we thread the needle underneath here. Maybe you take that left hand out, extending it forward. And then press down into the earth using the shoelace, the top parts of your feet, so that you're grounding down throughout the lower half of the body and not just dumping all the weight into your shoulders and your cheek. Sending that breath into any points that you're feeling a little tightness today. And on your next breath, go ahead and bring your left hand down alongside your ears and then start to open and expand upwards with your right hand. And then coming back into our tabletop position. We're going to step both of our feet back, coming into a plank pose. If this is too much for you, you can always drop down onto your knees, really just ensuring that your abs and your entire back body are nice and strong and engaged. Breathing here, squeezing through the belly, pressing away from the earth. And then let's all come down onto our knees and slowly lower down onto our belly, untucking our toes, and then allowing our hands to come out to the side, making a capital letter T. We're going to continue to work on our right shoulder here. So keep the capital letter T with your right hand, and then bring your left hand in to tent it up alongside the body, allowing yourself to roll over onto that right side for our reverse thread the needle. I think it's called scorpion. And so my left leg is acting as that kickstand. My left hand is acting as well for support. I'm inhaling and exhaling, opening through that shoulder joint. And that right leg, you can flex the toe so that you're engaging throughout the inner thighs here. That will also help to stabilize you so that you don't feel like you're rocking forward or rocking back too far. And then just spend a couple breaths here, feeling how it feels as it's settling into the body. On your next inhale, go ahead and start to slowly roll back onto your belly, bringing your right hand down alongside your chest, zipping those elbows in, and your nose and forehead are resting on the mat. Your toes are pointed. And on our next inhale, we're gonna press away from the earth, engaging through our abs, coming up into our low cobra. Nice strong neck, Really dropping those shoulders back and down, pressing into the earth with both our palms and the tops of our feet, and then lowering down, making that pillow with our hands, allowing our hips to rock back and forth, reconnecting with our breath. Let's do that once again. Go ahead and bring your hands alongside your body, about at the nipple line, and zip those shoulders and elbows back. And then on your next inhale, go ahead, engaging through the abs to pull your body upwards. Nice long neck, shoulders dropping away from your ears. Imagining as if your shoelace part of your feet are being pulled back, pressing into the earth, allowing you to go upwards. And then lowering down, once again, allowing your forehead to either rest on the mat or on your hands as you rock your hips back and forth. And then we're going to take our left hand out to that capital letter T. And then our right hand is going to be tented. We're going to do the reverse thread the needle on the other side here. So go ahead on your next inhale and start to roll yourself back onto that left shoulder. My right hand and my right foot are acting as that source of support here. Inhaling and exhaling. Opening throughout that chest and shoulder on the left side to complement what we did on the right. And then take notice of that left foot flexing, imagining that tension is coming out through your heel, grounding down, keeping that lower leg nice and tight. And breathing in that healing air. And exhaling it out once again. Couple more breaths on this side. On your next inhale, go ahead and walk that right hand out a little bit further. The right foot coming back down to the earth, rolling onto your belly. And then this time, bring both hands a little bit further up from your nipple line, about at the place in which your shoulders connect. And tuck your toes so that they're facing down. Your neck is lowered as well. And on your next inhale, go ahead and press away from the earth, coming back up into our high plank. Inhaling here. Exhaling, engaging throughout the core, the back body, and then coming onto our knees, allowing ourselves to come back into our tabletop position here. On our next inhale, we're going to bring our left hand up to the sky and then thread it underneath the right, coming into thread the needle on this side. And if it felt okay for you on the other side, go ahead and take that top right hand, straightening it out in front of you, and then making sure to engage the lower body, pressing the shoelace part of your feet down into the earth. Breathing here. On your next inhale, bring that right hand down by your nose, pressing away from the earth and sending that left hand up to the sky, and then coming back into our tabletop position. Let's press back into our child's pose, and let's take it a wide-legged child's pose. So your knees are out as wide as your practice space, your toes are touching, and you're just allowing your forehead to rest on the mat. Really imagining that breath coming in, lengthening throughout the back of your neck. Those imaginary fingertips, that palm grounding down throughout the lower spine. Just coming really heavy in through the hips. And then let's activate through our arms. Let's tent our fingers and just start to march those little ant fingers forward. Allowing the shoulders to come up close to the ears. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and walk your hands back in towards your knees. And then bring your knees in together, rising up. Coming to our modified sun salutations. So let's bring our hands to heart center. You should have about a hip width distance between your knees here. On our inhale, we're going to bring our hands up overhead, looking up. Exhale as we come forward into our tabletop position. Exhale as we reach back and forward into our child's pose. And then inhale as we press back up into our tabletop. Exhale as we ground down and forward into our child's pose. And then on the next inhale, slowly drag your fingertips, rolling your spine up and lifting, shoulders coming up and back, opening into our modified Tadasana. Let's do that again. Inhale as our hands come up overhead. Exhale as we bring them forward, coming into our tabletop position. Exhale as we ground down into our child's pose. And then inhale, pressing up, lifting into our tabletop. Exhale as we come back, extending our arms forward into our child's pose. And then inhale as you drag your fingertips back, increasing that C curve, slowly coming up, rolling upwards, shoulders back, hands out at front, modified Tadasana. Another time like that, inhale your arms up overhead, exhale, coming forward into our tabletop position. Exhaling, extending back and forward into our child's pose. Inhaling, pressing and lifting into our tabletop. Exhaling, releasing and relaxing into our child's pose. And then inhale, dragging our fingers towards our knees, rolling up through that C in our back, extending, lifting through our knees, rolling our shoulders back. Let's come into our hearts, our hands at heart center. Just gazing out over our fingertips. Breathing here. And then allow yourself to come back and then shift your weight over to one side of the body so that you can bring your feet out in front of you. Oops. And at this point, you're going to allow the flesh to kind of work its way out to the side. Your feet are still on the mat. We're going to come into a boat pose or Navasana. So all that you're going to do is really engage throughout your core, and then maybe you grab behind your knees, the nice strong muscles in here, and then just start to lift one foot up I'm engaging through my belly. My back is nice and straight. And then I lower that foot down, lifting up through the other, lowering that foot down, lifting up through the other. And then continue at that pace, engaging throughout the belly. You might challenge yourself and allow your hands to come out, making sure you're constantly leading with that chest. You don't want to drop back like this. That compromises your lower back. Nice, straight and open. And then maybe you bring both feet up. Maybe that means that you need to bring your hands back to your legs. Whatever feels right and also gives a little bit of a challenge. And then lower down, bringing the soles of your feet together, coming into our cobbler's pose. So rocking back and forth here once again, just allowing that flesh to fall off to the side. And we'll keep that same type of action, lifting through the chest, opening through the shoulders. As we inhale, nice straight spine. Exhale as we start to lean forward, allowing the chest to come, and then eventually dropping our neck down if that feels comfortable for you. Making sure to reconnect with the breath once you've settled into this space. On your next inhale, slowly roll up and then help your knees coming in, extending your right leg out in front, and then allowing the left foot to rest nicely on the inner right thigh. We're going to inhale our hands up overhead and then turn a little bit, leading our chest to align with our right foot, and then start to lower down. You might need to have a bend in the back of that right knee. I definitely do today. Been doing a lot of sitting and reading this weekend. And then just sending breath. That's what this practice is really about, reconnecting with the breath. And then allowing that breath to be the guide for us to feel our bodies. Maybe you feel the forehead or the nose going a little bit closer to the knee with every exhale. Maybe on the inhale, you feel that lengthening throughout the back of the leg. Maybe it's the back of the ribs. And then on your next inhale, slowly release your hands, walking up one vertebrae at a time. Taking that left leg out, bouncing back and forth here. And then bring the right foot in, positioning it on the inner thigh space of the left leg. And we'll do the same thing on this side. So inhale up, and then turn your chest over so that it's aligned with that big toe. And then as you exhale, allow yourself to bend forward, keeping that micro bend, or maybe it's a macro bend in your knee. Breathing here. On the next inhale, go ahead and walk your hands back, slowly bringing the chin and chest upwards. And then bring that right foot out in front. Go ahead and give your legs a little bit of a bounce once again. And then let's bring both feet in, coming into our cobbler's pose once again. So soles of the feet are together. This time we'll try for a little bit more active of a pose. So on your inhale, same as always, extending upwards, lengthening throughout the spine. And then exhale as you come forward. Maybe this time your elbows give a little bit of pressure on the calf or the inner thigh. And like I said to you before, it's not about pressing down with your elbows. It's just about slightly encouraging and feeling that resistance from the inner thighs as it tries to rise up. And then whenever you feel a place where it's about, I don't know, 70% effort, maybe you drop your head down, allowing the neck to release. Breathing here. On your next inhale, go ahead and start to roll up the spine, allowing your hands to help your knees come into your chest. And then let's lower down onto our back. We're going to come into our bridge pose for this afternoon. So your feet are placed down on the mat. Your feet, your hips, your shoulders, everything's nice and parallel, imagining that they're lined up like a railroad track. My hands are face palms down alongside my body. And on our next inhale, let's press up away from the earth, sending our hips high. Our feet are nice and grounded, making sure that you're focusing upwards. You're not looking around side to side. You don't want to risk injuring your neck. Pressing into the earth, engaging through that back body, those gluteus muscles. And then let's squeeze our inner thighs, our knees working to come together as if they're holding that basketball there. And then slowly lower down one vertebrae at a time, bringing your knees into your chest, rocking side to side, or maybe it will feel good to make those circles on the ceiling. Let's take another bridge here. So go ahead and place your feet down onto the earth. And then on your next inhale, press away from the earth, allowing your hips to rise. And if it's okay for your shoulders, maybe you interlace your hands underneath your booty. Once again, making sure that you're focusing your eyes upwards, not looking around or moving your neck. Really breathing, squeezing, engaging those muscles. Take a notice of your inner thighs and your knees coming together, squeezing. And then unlace your fingers, lowering down onto your back, knees into your chest. And if it feels okay for you, you can go ahead and start to soften your gaze. Maybe you close your eyes. We're reaching the end of our class. Just a couple more postures, all of which we'll be taking from this position. And then go ahead and allow your knees to come back to center. And then let's take them in towards our chest and then over towards the right side, allowing that left shoulder to remain grounded down into the earth. My left hand and arm are open like a goalpost, and my right hand is just resting on top of my left knee. My eyes are closed. And I'm just allowing myself to fall into this space, knowing that the ground is here supporting me. My breath is my guide. If at any time it feels like there's too much strain on your outer left hip when it's in that top position, you can go ahead and make a fist with your right hand, and you can just place it in between your knees. Not only does that help with maybe some people have like the inner knee bones, it feels uncomfortable, but it also helps to elevate. And so that way you don't feel as though that gravity is just being pulled downwards. Just helping to provide a little bit of support there. Take a couple more breaths here. On your next inhale, go ahead and release that right hand. If it was in between your knees, take it to the outside edge of your right knee and allow it to bring your knees back into center. Maybe rocking around here just a little bit. And then having your knees rest at whatever neutral is for you today. And then on your next inhale, bring the knees into your chest just a little bit. And then exhale as you guide them over to the left side of your body, keeping that right shoulder grounded down on the earth. Sending breath, maybe it's to that right shoulder, that right chest. I have my right arm in a goalpost position. Or maybe you feel this stretch in through the back, coming down along that top outer right hip. No right or wrong answer. Everybody's body is a little bit different. And even within our own body, we're different day to day. If it felt good for you to place that fist of the hand in between your knees, go ahead and do that on the other side as well. And a couple more breaths on this side. Focusing on sending those healing inhales, cleansing exhales to whatever point along the body is needing that nourishment. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and release your hand between your knees. Take it to the outside left side of your knee and help your knees come back into center. And our last little bit of massage on the lower spine here. So take what you need. That's those circles that feel nice. Or maybe you want to open to a happy baby, grabbing the outside pinky toe edge of your feet and then lifting them up to the sky, pressing down throughout the lower spine, opening through the hips, whatever feels good for you today. And then when you're ready, go ahead, bring your knees back in, allowing your hands to wrap around on your inhale, giving yourself one nice long hug, knee in towards your nose, compress, and then exhale, releasing down, coming into our resting pose, Shavasana. Allow your toes to flop outwards, your hands and elbows, the space outwards that they need. Closing your eyes if that feels comfortable. Let's take 2 inhales and exhales together. Inhaling through our nose, exhaling audibly through the mouth. Do that once more. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling. Rest here. Start to send some movement into your fingers and your toes, increasing the lengths of your inhales and your exhales. And making your way over onto one side, coming into that fetal position, breathing here. And then pressing down into the earth with that top hand, slowly bringing yourself up to a seated position. Maybe your eyes stay with a soft gaze, or maybe they're closed. Head, neck, and spine last to rise. And then bring your hands to that prayer position at your heart. Feeling that expansion in your ribs with every inhale. And that contraction and closing with your exhale. And if you care to do so, feel free to join me on the inhale for Om. Let's inhale together. Bring your prayer hands up to that space of the third eye between your eyebrows. Give yourself a little massage with your thumbs. And if you choose to, bowing forward, honoring your time, our time together on this mat, thanking yourself for making the space and the time for your practice. Inhale as you rise up. Thank you once again. I'll see you next time. Bye.